Gotta let it breathe while we bring in the Facebook groups here. That one and that one. All right. Gotta wait for a couple green check marks before we are good to go. Hope everyone's having a wonderful night. There's one, there's two. We're good to go.
Awesome. Welcome into another episode of Deep Valley Dove Divers. My name is Kenneth Booker. I'm one of your hosts, and your other host today is going to be Erick Trickel. How you doing today, Erick?
I'm doing good. I'm excited for Thanksgiving. I'm not a big Thanksgiving person, but all my family is going to be coming. Family comes over and we just hang out and spend the day together. So I'm excited for that. Hang out with them, even though I see my family every single Tuesday as they come over for game nights. But I'm excited, and I'm super excited to be here talking about Broncos football, especially after the win that they had against the Falcons and the way they beat the Falcons, and with how, I don't want to say easy, but how less challenging their schedule is to close out the season, and the
Mm-hmm.
fact that they are in full control of winning the 7th seed and making the playoffs.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's crazy to be this late in the season and be in charge of our own destiny and not having to worry about if somebody else is going to win or not. And yeah, Thanksgiving, it's dope. It's one of the best holidays for food wise, at least. I know there's a lot of controversy behind it, but my brother made a smoked turkey one year, and I'll never go back. It was so. I mean, I'll go back because I have to, but like that's definitely my favorite, hands down.
I'm just not a turkey fan.
Yeah, this
Like
one was
overall, I'm
different.
not.
It was like weird. It was like eating like ribs or something like that. It just
Oh,
tasted
that
so.
sounds really good. I've heard a lot of good things about smoked turkey. I've never tried it that way, but overall,
Mhm.
I'm just not a big turkey fan.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, today we're gonna start out with let's do a little recap of what we're gonna talk about in the show. First, we're gonna do a recap of last week's game, that impressive win that they had against the Falcons. Then we're gonna go over some key matchups in this game that relate to the topic of the show of trying to end that trying to sweep the Raiders for the first time since 2014, which is insane. I guess they got him 1 year when Peyton was here, um, which is weird. Yeah, I know he swept him for a couple of years, the whole division. But after that, we're going to have some questions entering the game. Then we're going to talk about the latest news, how we got flexed into a Thursday night football game. Uh, Apparently, it was to our own. It was because we wanted it. From what
Yeah, so
I kind of
the
heard.
NFL can't force a team to play 2 Thursday night football games in a season, and the teams have to approve it if they've already had one. So Sean Payton and the Broncos front office ownership, they had to say it's fine with us. They did, and hopefully they rise to the occasion, and hopefully they don't suffer any injuries because Thursday night football games are brutal for injuries.
Yes, definitely. I don't know. I guess apparently they were saying that they wanted those extra few days to prepare for the
Yeah,
Bengals.
which makes sense. Like the Bengals, they have the Colts coming after the bye week, which is before the Browns, and they are the team that's currently in the 8th seed. Then they have the Bengals, who are also another team that's pushing for the playoffs there. So they get that mini bye week before them for those 2 really important games. So yeah, I mean it's great for it. And the Los Angeles Chargers, it is unlikely they move out of the 6th seed,
Mm-hmm.
or the 5th seed. Sorry, there's a chance they can end up with the 6th seed, but the odds are right now that they'll end up the 5th seed. A lot will determine what happens this week because they do play Baltimore, and that could basically determine how that seeding falls in place. So I mean, it's a fine game to be flexed over. It's a divisional game, but you keep your 2 important games again, the Colts and the Bengals, after a bye week for the Colts and after that mini bye week against the Bengals.
Yeah, it's a really cool way to look at it, and I know there's a lot of negatives because of Thursday night football and how the games don't um, aren't too entertaining. It just seems like it's a lot of messy football, and some
Yeah.
team just finally just pulls it out in the end. Um, but I mean, if they wanted it, I see the logic behind it and having those little extra few days to prepare for the
Mhm.
most important games of the season. And if you can't, I don't know, that's gonna be a crazy game. I'm excited for that
Yeah.
one because it's gonna be such a
And
close game.
what's nice too is because historically teams struggle the Sunday before Thursday night games because they've already started preparations for that. And we kind of saw that earlier in the season. We didn't struggle Thursday night, but we did struggle a little bit offensively until late in the game against the Chargers. So it's nice that this week that they have that Sunday before after the bye week again that should help ease up those early game or those struggles that they have going into it as well. So all in all, it really makes sense for the Broncos to have wanted it when they did, and it stinks for me because it condenses my timeline for post game content and pre game content that I got to written stuff that I got to get up. But from a football standpoint, which really what matters, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to get a primetime game later in the season to see, especially if we're really, as a fan, we're really invested in that Rookie of the Year, and that's just one more game to get the national media to see him play. I know there's a lot of times with Colorado sports in general, people only catch our highlights just because we play a little bit later than everybody else.
And then, of course, there's also the fact that it's not just a couple days before Christmas now on that Sunday. So that also helps me afterwards. I can get all my stuff done, and then I can sit there and relax and do nothing and just have a good few days leading up to Christmas and with the family and everything like that. So,
Nice.
it all works out in the end on the personal level as well.
That's awesome. Oh, yeah, and then at the end of our show today, we're going to have you stick around for our predictions, and then as well as we want to hear some of your predictions on the scores. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be – we're all going to be pretty much in the same ballpark, but every once in a while, you never know. And sometimes people – if you have a different point on if we're going to lose or if it's going to be a different score, throw your opinion on why. I'd like to hear that out.
Yeah, speaking of that real quick, did you see Lance Anderson's score prediction for the game?
I didn't actually.
I'll talk about it when we actually get to that, but man, he has Denver bowling out the Raiders, and I am all here for it.
Yes, I would love it. Just to shut up those Raiders fans for one more year,
Yeah.
or the first year in a long time of sweeping them because they're like, I don't know, they just love to be the second worst team. I was like, yo, you're still bad, right? And they're just like, we beat the Broncos. It's like, yeah,
it's like their Super Bowl. Like whenever they beat the Broncos, it's like their Super Bowl.
It's anyway.
Only Super Bowl they know. It's the only Super Bowl they know anymore.
Yeah. Was it 80, 83 or something like that? It's the last time they went. So that's like
they went in, what was it? They lost to the Buccaneers back in the early 2000s, but they've been basement dwellers since then.
They won.
Congratulations on over 20 years of basement dwelling.
I think it was the first year that the wild card team won, and we were like the next time.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll start off with our recap of the game. So last week it was they played Atlanta. It was the first time they beat an over 500 team all season. All their victories are under 500 teams. All their losses from above 500 teams. So it was really nice to see them play a team that is used to winning and didn't go in there assuming they were going to lose. They put up 38 points, and they went 4 for 4 in the red zone, which is insane. I didn't even notice that until I saw some highlights early on.
And it's worth noting too that when they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Buccaneers were 2-0.
True. So, fair enough.
I mean,
and Baker's playing. He's having a resurgence year for sure.
They had, the Buccaneers had injuries and everything, but they just completely shut down that offense. And we saw the same thing against the Falcons. This defense, it's legit.
Yeah, it was. I talked about Bijan Robinson. We held him to 2.9 yards a carry. Cousins, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. It was our third time this year that we scored 30 points. A little caveat to that, though, is before this game, we hadn't scored over like 14, whatever, for like 3 games. So it was nice to get back in a rapid pace, high scoring offense. Is there any takeaways that you got from that game, anything that stood out, and how impressed were you that they went 4-4 in the red zone?
That's great because that has been an issue for a few years with the Broncos of just, finishing those drives. Obviously you want to finish with points, but touchdowns is what you want to finish with more than field goals. And there's been some issues with that. So it was nice to see that happen. It was nice to see some of the play designs that they had because they really dialed up, these designs that helped get guys open and get them open earlier instead of having to, Bo Nix to scramble around a little bit and coverage breaks down. They knew going in that the Falcons were going to be without their second and third corners, and
Mm-hmm.
they just played on it. They put their pedal on the metal and just kept it down all game long, which was nice to see, especially after what happened the 2 games prior of completely changing up, being less aggressive on defense against the Ravens, and then coming down to late in the game, trying to win it and easing up a little bit offensively and playing for a field goal instead of, playing for the touchdown. So it's just nice to see them just get back to what this team is. They're an aggressive team on both sides of the ball, and that's probably my biggest takeaway is that they went back to being just what they are.
Yeah, I was impressed to see them play a complete game. Bo looked great. Everybody was catching the ball. Bonito had 2 sacks. John Franklin-Myers had a sack. That guy's quietly having an amazing season. I think he's 1 sack short of his career high. That what a trade that was. That was insane. Yeah. The Jets getting Hassan Reddick, going through all that headache, and John Franklin-Myers has done nothing but perform while he was here. And then going 4 for 4 in the red zone, it reminds me of I wish I could have bet that, because you got to go to Underdog Fantasy to bet that. So if you go to Underdog Fantasy, right? Have you ever used Underdog Fantasy?
I have not, no.
So Underdog Fantasy is a place to play if you're a sports fan looking to win money while watching sports. With over 5 million happy players and over $2 billion won, Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in all your favorite athletes' performances, competing against other players by just selecting higher or lower on 2 or more players' stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. So turn every touchdown into a win with Underdog.
Yeah, so with Underdog Fantasy, with their champs game, you could win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on player stats like passing yards, interceptions, touchdowns, and much more. Like, for example, will Bo Nix have higher or lower than 220.5 passing yards this week? Every dog deserves a second chance, and with Underdog Rescues, you can get your money back and receive a promo if an early injury causes your entry to lose.
Download the Underdog app today and use the code MHuddle to get $1,000 in bonus cash, or get up to $1,000 bonus cash instantly. Again, download the Underdog app today and use the code MHuddle to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Every player, every touchdown. Just select higher or lower on Underdog.
Now, you must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Nice. Sorry, I was just reading somebody saying some stuff in the chat. So next we're going to go into, of course, the matchup right now that we're dealing with is the Broncos and Raiders. The Broncos and Raiders overall record is the Raiders actually lead the series 73-55, and I guess there was 2 ties in there somewhere. I wonder when those happened. And then it's really awesome. Like, if you look back at the history with the Broncos and Raiders, I really like the Mike Shanahan history and how he used to coach the Raiders. And then they fired him, and Al Davis didn't give him his entire contract or something like that, stiffed him on some money. And from what I heard, it was Elway who did this, but I guess I did some little research, and it was Elvis Gerback. But it was essentially hey, if you don't see anybody open, hit Al Davis with the ball. And he was like, are you serious? And he was like, yeah, I'm serious. And then essentially he throws the ball, and at the last second, Al Davis misses the ball. And I think he gave him the bird or a dirty look. And it just reminds me of what the Raiders and Broncos rivalry used to be, because that's what I grew up on. It was Broncos Raiders. It wasn't Broncos Chiefs. It wasn't Broncos Chargers. It was Broncos Raiders. And that was just really cool. That little story about Mike Shanahan and his beef with Al Davis.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, there's a lot of history here, and it's nice that, I mean, the Raiders still stink, and they are they're bottom three team in the NFL this year.
mhm.
They do very few things very well. They don't have a whole lot of talent. They do have some talented guys. Um, like Max Crosby, that's probably the biggest guy that we have to worry about on their defense. Um, but they're just not a good team. And the Broncos, with the way they're playing, they should walk away with this one easily. And that's,
Mhm.
I hate saying that term because one, it's you play the games for a reason. Any given Sunday, anything can happen. And two, it's the Raiders. The Raiders and the Broncos are always tough games for the most part. I mean, there are some exceptions throughout the history when you play as many games as they have. Not every
Mhm.
single one's going to be close, but they always tend to play a little bit tougher than you expect. I mean, even the last one, the Raiders came out and they were really doing well until that pick six that Patrick Surtain had,
Yeah,
and then it was just the Denver Broncos show.
yeah.
After that, so I think that the Broncos are a lot better now than they were where were then. I think they're going to start off hot, and I think that they're just going to keep it going all game long. I don't have this being a close one.
Yeah, it's like I hope it's a blowout, but it's like it reminds me of if you look at it from the Chiefs' perspective. When every time they play us, we always play them tough, even if we're terrible and they're Super Bowl favorites. This year is a little bit different. We have a much better, well-rounded team and a good young, impressive running quarterback. But so we just can't take these guys lightly. You gotta score early and you gotta put your foot on their throat. The run game's got to be a big factor in it. Just the time of possession, and keeping the ball out of their hands and just never letting them get in rhythm. Uh, in efforts to get Minshew benched again, or maybe not benched again because he played so bad in that game. Um, but yeah, in the last game, what did we do? Minshew got picked off twice. One got taken back for a touchdown. Um, Broncos just crushed him 34-18. It was it was nice to see because we haven't seen. I mean, we're just trying to stay in games of the Raiders in the past, and it was nice to just walk over them like they weren't even worthy of being there and on the field with us. So that was really cool. What is there any main takeaways you got from the game? And or, like you said, is it just we're a better team, or did we just happen to game plan better for them?
I think Denver's just a better team. They just have to go out there and execute. As a young team, execution um, can be inconsistent at times, and I think we really saw that to start the season,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the rookie quarterback, and we saw some of those execution issues on his end. We saw a lot with the running game, and we're still seeing them with the running game. Um, and just receivers, we're seeing some drops. Little Jordan Humphrey, he's been really hit or miss for them as a blocker and as a receiver. It's like almost every three bad plays you need, or you have to get three bad plays from him before you get a good play from him, kind of season. Um, I think Denver is just a better team. And when I go to NFL Pro stats, and
Mm-hmm.
I look at the team overview and the all their matchup comparisons, it's like they have different stars, 1 through 5 stars. With the team, it is Raiders offense versus the Broncos defense. Broncos defense has 5-star advantages in long passing, rushing outside the tackles, passing versus pressure, designed runs, overall rushing efficiency, and even on when you flip it, the Broncos offense in pressure rate, they have a 5-star advantage. In long passing, they have a 3-star advantage. In rushing under center, they have a 3-star advantage. It's like almost everything is to the Broncos' advantage in this game, and it's just one of those things of everything on paper should say the Broncos win this game. But
Mm-hmm.
again, you still have to go in there. You still have to play the games. You still have to execute. Anything can happen any given Sunday. Um, there's the unknown variables that you can't account for with any kind of any statistics or anything like that that play into the game. Penalties, which is one area where the Raiders do have an advantage. Broncos are one of the most penalized teams in the NFL, and Raiders are more so middle of the pack. And those can really shift the momentum in a game. Um, One bad defensive pass interference on a third down, and the offensive side has major advantage. So
Mm-hmm.
as long as the Broncos go out there, I just don't think that it's going to be a close one.
Yeah, those penalties are rough, especially when it's like third and uh, third and 5, whatever, and you haven't stopped him for a while, and then you get that penalty, like offsides or that defensive holding. The worst ones are when it's like second and like 28, and you get like pass interference. It's automatic first down or defensive holding. With some of these, I don't understand the penalties and the severity. I understand them, but like I don't understand why they are like. I've never agreed with holding being 10 yards. I feel like it should be a 5-yard penalty because it destroys drives every time. I don't know what the percentage is. It's got to like kill drives like by a huge percentage off of a holding penalty. But yeah, it's crazy. So I just want to say hi to a couple people in the room today. We got Michael Ronquillo. I hadn't seen him in a while. I saw him on X or Twitter. Good to see you, Michael. Says good evening, Eric and Kenneth on the Dove Valley Deep Divers. Go Bo Broncos. Hell yeah. And Daniel Barry, Sports Highlights, says yo. I don't know if you're saying yo to us or you're saying yo to somebody else. But yo, what's up, man? We got Roy Osborne coming in here. Hey there, Eric and Kenny. Or hey there, Eric and KB. I'll be at the cook at my house like always. I may smoke some meat while watching the game. Okay, all right, that's what's up. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a 50-50 cook. Like sometimes I cook some stuff and good stuff, and sometimes it's like I'll eat it anyway. But smoked stuff is really hard to mess up, and it's so good. Oh man, yeah. They were talking about that in Texas they have all those pigs, those wild boars. They were trying to feed the homeless with them, and they were saying that they couldn't because they were like they're real stringy and weird. It's like the meat's kind of not appealing at all. Where even homeless people were turning it down. And I was thinking, why don't they just smoke it? I feel like that just fixes everything. But it's too bad. I don't know. All that food running around, you can't even help out people with it. But and then David Youngkins is excited for Thanksgiving because it's the one day he can eat anything. Heck yeah. What's your favorite thing to eat that's like something you don't eat all year, I guess you would say?
Pie. I don't eat a lot of pie throughout the year. I only really eat it at Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And I mean, I used to be all about pumpkin pie. It used to be we'd get like 6 pumpkin pies, and they'd be gone on Thanksgiving. Over the years, I've kind of lost my appetite for it. I've become very much a cherry pie guy.
Okay.
But yeah, pie is the one thing that don't really eat a whole lot of it during the year, but absolutely devour it on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I was a dumb kid. I used to run my finger around the outside of the pumpkin pie.
So,
and like, because I couldn't wait to eat it. And then I don't know. This is old school. I used to get the belt for. I got the belt for it. I like ruined pies. Like we still ate them, whatever. But
when I was really young, with what my parents used to do, they used to go and we had a big thing Thanksgiving. We never had Thanksgiving as a family really because with what my parents were doing for work, they would do a big Thanksgiving for people who were homeless or less privileged. And they'd all come into the church and we'd have it. And one of the rooms that we had for Sunday school, my parents used to be pastors, to be clear here. They would open up the window and it's freezing. It's November. It's freezing. It's been like -2 degrees outside the last couple days. And I would go in that room and I always got in trouble because I would sit in there and I would eat 4, 5, 6 pumpkin pies all by myself. Which was fine. I mean, they always had like over 50 pumpkin pies, and we always end up with a bunch of leftovers that we'd give out to the people as well so they could take it home. But I always got in trouble because I was like, you're supposed to wait until everybody else, but I never did.
That's funny. All right. Well, our next segment we're going to get into is going to be our key matchups. The big key matchup everybody's looking at is obviously is going to be who's going to take Brock Bowers. Is it going to be PS2? Is it going to be PJ Locke? I saw Jaquan McMillan playing pretty well against Pitts in the last game. I see it being PS2 just because otherwise you're kind of just wasting PS2 out there. There's not anybody else who really garners his respect besides, I guess, Jacoby Myers is still on their squad, right?
He's still with them, but I don't know the injury status. I never actually looked at the Raiders
the injury report?
The injury report yet.
Yeah, I got it up here. It looks like they have I don't even know how to say this. Jacurin Jacurin Bennett.
Jacorian
He had
Bennett.
a shoulder injury. You had Harrison Bryant with an ankle injury.
Oh, Jacorian Bennett and Nate Hobbs are both out for this game. Oh man, like that's their number 1 and number 2 corner right there.
Yeah, they didn't. It says they're both out. They didn't practice all week. It looks like.
Man,
I don't know, but
if the Broncos lose, if the Broncos lose this game, like
you got to take that with a grain of salt, I guess. After the Max Crosby situation last time,
if they lose this game, I'm going to be so mad.
But he was questionable. He wasn't just out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when it's ruled out, they are out and they cannot play. That is against NFL rules. So at least there's that. Doubtful you have a chance of playing out. There's no chance.
Yeah.
And Zamir White, he's doubtful. Alexander Madison's doubtful. Well, there's the running game.
Wow.
If they don't play. So
hey, they're gonna get the draft pick they want, at least, right?
Are they going to be the team that ends up with Shedeur Sanders and Deion Sanders as head coach?
He's not leaving, man. I'm telling you.
I don't think he is. I think with I don't think he is. But if he leaves, I don't think he'll. Let me rephrase that. I don't think he'll leave for an NFL team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying too. I really do believe him saying he doesn't want to deal with the personalities of the NFL guys. He likes being like a dad. That's what I see him. I see him as more of a leader than a coach, like a mentor, somebody who motivates, gets you to play your best or take your game to the next level. And then he surrounds himself with people who are subject matter experts on technique and stuff. Like Warren Sapp is killing it over there.
I think the only way he leaves Colorado this year or this, once all that starts happening in January, February, is if FSU fires their head coach and they come calling. That's the only place I think he'll leave Colorado for this year.
I don't know, man. I see FSU maybe, but it's got to be like something from the heart, not about the money. I don't think he really cares about the money. I mean, everybody cares.
I mean, he shouldn't. He's made a bunch in his life, so
he has so many different avenues of revenue. Yeah. It's insane. He doesn't need. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, the next matchup I was talking about was Max Crosby versus Mike McGlinchey. I think it was last time he was out. It was Palczewski that was in.
I think so, yeah.
So it's nice to see if McGlinchey is that much of a bit different or whatever. I think he will be. I think Crosby's still going to get his, but it'll give him that extra half second, whatever, Bo to step up and get out of there. But yeah, you always got to watch out for Crosby. Yeah. That guy's a beast. He's like, I don't know. He was on the Myles Garrett, Aiden Hutchinson, Bosa's level for a while. Maybe not as much this year, but he's still a dangerous dude that always performs against the Broncos.
Wait, he still has 7 sacks on the season.
Oh wow, okay.
He just doesn't have quite as many pressures as he has in previous years. I mean, you look at the last 3 years, over 80 pressures in each of the 3 seasons. But yeah, he's on pace to match, his average of sacks in a season of 12 to 15.
Wow. I mean, I feel bad for that guy. I mean, as bad as you could feel for a Raider, apparently, of course. But
well, he wants out, so he made that clear. He wants out.
Yeah, because that's just what all that wasted production.
Yeah, he's like, and it sucks too because I was a huge fan of Max Crosby coming out in the NFL draft when he did all those years ago, and I wanted Denver to pick him up so bad, and I kept seeing him fall in the draft. I'm like, oh, Denver, go get him. He came out, started off hot as a rookie. Like he had a good rookie season, had a good second season. And then he opened up about how his addiction problems and how he's helped that. Yeah. And then as soon as he got that taken care of, things skyrocketed for him. It sucks that I root for him to be successful on almost every single game, except for when he's playing the Broncos. Mm-hmm. Just because of the story that comes with him and everything.
Yeah, definitely. It's like what I wrote for Garrett Bowles. I know he had a little troubled history back in the day.
Yeah.
Wasn't the same, I guess, but it was it's nice to see people get back on track because they had so much potential and they're actually like living up to their potential and living their dream essentially. Mm-hmm. I just saw this in the chat. So did this happen today?
Yeah, they released Daniel Jones.
Wow.
They did something with his contract too. to help with the money because there was so much money for it, and a lot of people are saying he's going to end up with the Cowboys,
Okay.
which would be really funny. Or or Miami. I actually think he could be pretty decent in Miami in that scheme that they do, but yeah,
That's
no more
another
Dan,
crazy.
no more. What was his name? Or what was the nickname for him? Darn, I can't remember.
Daniel Jones is
Daniel
name.
Jones.
Does anybody know the name in the chat?
I don't know.
I forgot.
But what was the stat? He has the same number of, or the Giants under hit with him at quarterback have the same number of games of winning by like 14 plus points as the Denver Broncos do with Bo Nix.
Wow.
Like he's been in the league since what, 2019?
Jeez.
Danny Dimes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Norman. Yeah, that's crazy. Maybe I don't know. It's like he seems like one of those guys that should have been switched to receiver or something in college because he is really fast.
Yeah.
Like a Tannehill or I don't know. There's another guy that did that too. I forgot who it was. Danny Dimes from Duke. Yeah, 6th pick overall, wasn't he? Should have went like multiple rounds later. And it brings up another thing. What did Drew Lock do to get passed up? I know roasted him all over.
He's not good.
But it's just like they make him the 3rd quarterback. Why did they even make him the 2nd quarterback?
No, well, Danny Dimes was the 3rd quarterback. Drew Lock was backing him up even before they released him.
Oh, okay.
That's part of why he asked for his release is because he was playing scout safety, which the 3rd quarterback does. But no, the real reason is I don't think it's because Drew Lock is bad. I don't think he's as good as a lot of people have made him out to be. I think that the Giants at this point have shifted their focus to playing for draft position, and Tommy DeVito, the super funny dude. But anyways, Tommy DeVito I think gives him a better chance to lose those games. Whereas Drew Lock is just such an unknown. Although, if they're really afraid of Drew Lock winning games, they can just throw on the Bengals tape from what was it, 2020, where he had the ball stripped out from his hands at the goal line, basically.
I don't understand. Just let him play because he's gonna either turn it over or he's gonna get you a couple 80-yard bombs. And you're gonna be like, all right, maybe we can.
Yeah, they're not eliminated from the playoff hunt.
For the future for long term.
They're unlikely to make it, but hey, still have a chance. So.
I didn't.
They're only 16th seed in the NFC.
I felt bad for Drew.
They only have less than a 1% chance.
I felt bad for Drew, or as much as you can feel for a millionaire. But yeah, it was right. He looked pretty heartbroken. We got David Youngton coming in here. Thank you so much for the super chat, $4.99. We really appreciate it. It says, I don't see Max getting 3 sacks like the first game. Yeah, I mean, he's going against a better opponent in McGlinchey and not Palczewski. But you never know. He just always shows up for these games. And one good thing is Drew Lock's not going down on those like easy sacks. Those ones where they're just hitting him. So I don't see him. I still see him getting to Drew. Drew. Oh my God.
Bo Nix. We've gone back in time.
I still see him getting the Bo, but just one time. And maybe maybe it won't be a sack. Maybe it'll be like a 3-yard carry. He gets him from behind, trying to escape the pocket.
Yeah, I mean, Max Crosby only got 2 sacks in the first game, and I think he has a chance to match that. I think he'll end up with like 1, maybe 1.5, not 2. But it just depends, with half sacks, sometimes it can be a little finicky with how they divide those up. But he tends to play really well against Mike McGlinchey when you look at, past meetings from even when he was with the San Francisco 49ers, which I think they only played like twice when he was with the 49ers. But anyways, Max Crosby's done well, and how Max Crosby wins is something that Mike McGlinchey struggles with. So I could still see it. The question is how much do the Broncos give him help? Because that's been an issue against pass rushers. They don't often give that tight end for that extra help, that chip block that they could use. So that's my question for it with controlling Max Crosby a little bit.
Okay. Well, so we got all these questions for the game, but the real question is, Paul asked it, and everybody wants to know this answer. Can you bet on how many boogers Minshew eats? The line is 2.5 boogers.
3. I'll take the over. I'll take the
You take
over
the
on
over. I think it's just one big one. It's like it's bigger than he expects, and he just keeps going. He's like
one of those big slimy ones that just like keeps just coming out like right before he throws the ball.
Yeah, that's where that'll be his last.
He's such a weird dude. Like he's so weird.
I liked him whatever when he was playing in Jacksonville. I know he kind of messed us up on one of the games, but he seemed like a poor man Jake Plummer kind of guy.
Yeah. He's kind of weird.
That's so funny though. And then the last key matchup would be, I guess, the pass rush of the Broncos against the O-line of the Raiders. We're number 1 in the league with 39 sacks. Bonito's on fire. Second in the league with was it 9 sacks, just behind Trey Hendrickson, who's this. Oh my! People just don't talk about how good Trey Hendrickson is. So good,
and he's still consistent.
So good. And then it's like I was saying, John Franklin Myers, 1 sack short of his career high with plenty of the season to go with 5 sacks. And then it was just an amazing offseason trade to get him. So we'll see how do you think this Raiders own line is going to hold up against this pass rush that blitzes all the time and just never lets you take it down off?
Well, I'm going to go back real quick to Max Crosby and Mike McGlinchey because I just found this about that. Max Crosby has generated a team-leading 35 pressures this season, including 16 quick pressures, which means he's getting that pressure under 2.5 seconds. He's recorded 6.5 sacks, accounting for 30.4 of the Raiders' total sacks this season. He lines up at left edge on 82% of his snaps, which is facing the right tackle because it's as you face the ball, so left edge is right against the right tackle. He's allowed the 6th lowest pressure rate McGlinchey has among right tackles this season at 7%. And McGlinchey, obviously we talked about this, didn't play in the first matchup because of that injury of Spalczewski. But anyways, as for the Raiders offensive line holding up, I kind of mentioned this. They are not a good team. They're not a good offensive line. Mm-hmm. They are terrible when dealing with pressure and, executing passing plays under pressure. I don't think they'll hold up. I think that the Broncos will have a really good day getting pressure. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking, 6+ sacks after this. Only thing that can help them out is the quicker passing game, which they kind of utilized in the first matchup, but the Broncos have improved significantly in handling that and keeping those quick passes from being such an outlet. Atlanta found a way to somewhat deal with it by dump offs to the running back, and I guess they could still do the same way that way instead of wide receivers. But if Madison and Zamir White aren't in for this game, as they're doubtful, it's going to be harder for them to even do that.
Yeah, it puts so much more pressure on Crosby to get that pressure because those guys are going to they can't cover our receivers that long, even though we have mid-tier journeyman receivers essentially besides Sutton. I guess not mid-tier. I guess we call that for Humphrey, not for the younger guys. But he's going to have to get pressure immediately. Otherwise, Nix is either going to step up and take off running, or he's just going to slice and dice you.
And the Raiders, they've allowed 38.2 quarterback pressure percentage rate this year. That is the 5th highest in the NFL. They allow pressures at an ungodly rate. And if the Broncos can put the score up, put points on the board early, what are they going to do? They're going to be having to pass more often. Well, more opportunities, more sacks.
Uncle Rico's going down. That's what Paul said. Hopefully it's off of 3 Benito sacks. So the underdog app, pick the over.
Man, Nick Benito, I gotta talk about this because I wasn't a very big fan of his draft, the draft selection of him.
Mhm.
I really had serious doubts about his ability as a pass rusher to win through blockers because of the defense that Oklahoma ran. He didn't have to go through blockers a whole lot. It was very slanting, so he was him attacking the gaps. And then as a run defender, just I struggle with guys who are a liability against the run as Benito was.
Mhm.
He's still not great against the run. He's not a liability completely either, but he has improved significantly with his pass rush arsenal to actually work through blockers to get these pressures, get through sacks. And his quickness off the snap with how quickly he gets upfield. Has a bit of a long stride to him as he presses up and presses
Mhm.
that arch. And man, if he can add an inside counter to his game, like an inside spin, I think we could be talking about him as being one of the, I don't want to say one of the best, but probably top 12 pass rushers in the NFL, but not quite, not quite top 6 or 7, but somewhere between, 7 and 12 or something.
Yeah, it's like one of those guys, especially with his consistency this year.
Yeah.
It's like a given he's going to get a sack every game or tackle a quarterback behind the line of scrimmage who was apparently on a busted play. I don't know. Anyway,
It was a run option, so it's not a
I
sack.
just think, I don't know. It's the rules. I get it. 100%. Rules are the rules. But it's Lamar Jackson. You got to give that to
Yeah.
him. It's not.
Yeah,
not
I get what you're saying, but just the way that it is. Run option, it's a run play, it's not a sack. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
unfortunate because
Yeah.
it would have been really great to see that, for multiple reasons.
Because is he
As you're
still
saying.
having a sack in every single game since then?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, his only game. So then after that, we're going to talk about, let me see, the keys to victory. So I always have the same keys to victory. They're pretty standard. Essentially, it's winning the turnover battle. That's the only way I feel like, in my eyes, a lesser team beats a better team is the turnover battle and where those turnovers happen. If they're happening deep in the other person's territory, or if they're turning into touchdowns like PS2 took that one back and completely changed that entire game. No costly penalties like you were talking about earlier. You don't want to extend people's drives. You don't want to turn people's, maybe there's a turnover and we hold them to a field goal, but then you jump off sides and now they get an extra 4 downs to score a touchdown. And no ridiculous sacks where you're turning back the wrong way, turning a 7-yard sack into a 30, not a 30-yard sack, but like a 17-yard sack. So, those are my 3 keys. Do you have any keys that you always like lean on, or is this any keys specific to this game?
I don't really look at keys. I look at matchups. I normally do a written article every week about two key matchups. One offense against their defense, one of our defense against their offense, and then I do a point of emphasis. The 1 or 2 things that the Broncos really need to focus on. So I guess you can kind of say those are keys. This week that was about not playing down to their level. We've talked about this a lot this season about how the Broncos have a tendency to play down to lesser competition. And we see that happen a lot, especially against the Raiders. So it's it's something that's gotta
it's got to stop it.
Gotta be taken care of. You can't keep doing that. If you want to be truly a great team, you force teams to play up to your level instead of playing down to theirs.
Also, even if when you make mistakes, they can't come back to bite you. You got to be if you're that much of a better team, you're going to win no matter what. So, like, I hate bringing up CU and stuff like that, but like, they've had a couple of wins in the past few weeks that they started off horrible. It was like first drive interceptions. And then you look at the final score and it's like 49-21. And you're like, wait, when I was watching that, it looked like it was about to be an upset. But if you're that much better of a team, you should be able to get through those trials and tribulations, and you should be able to fight through there and not let that thing fester throughout the entire game and momentum build on the other side.
Yeah.
Sorry.
William Todd got receipts. It's not hard to have receipts. I'm on here every single week talking about it. I spent months on it. But Todd comes in saying, "Hello, Eric. Are you ready to admit I was right about Bo Nix, or have you made up your mind on if Bo Nix is the franchise quarterback?" Oh, here comes the torches and pitchforks. I have not made up my mind on Bo Nix being the franchise quarterback yet. I am cautiously optimistic. There are still a few things to his game that we haven't seen this season. He's had really great games against really bad defenses, and he needs to have those games. I'm not using this as a slight on him, but I want to see him really step up against a great team that is able to able to generate pressure. And the reason for that is when teams are able to generate that pressure, that is when we see his technique break down and kind of see a little bit of panic from him. And before I crown him as the franchise quarterback, I want to see those elements of his game. That's it.
Yeah.
I think he's really good. I think he's far better than I expected him to be. Like,
oh yeah.
My pre-draft analysis on him was wrong. I'm willing to admit that. And I didn't think he would be much of anything. And I was wrong about where he was drafted. I did not think he should be a first round pick. So yeah, I still have some concerns about it, and I do think that he should be the favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I actually have an article talking about that from this week.
Oh yeah,
about he should be the favorite for the Offensive Rookie of the Year. And Ralph.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was saying the same thing.
Thank you, Eric. Sorry. Nick did that against the Chiefs. Not really. The Chiefs defense isn't. I mean, they're a good defense this year. They're not any. They're not quite to that same level. They had a couple injuries. That was one of the more promising games from him. But the thing is they scored twice.
Yeah, they did stall out after
they stalled out multiple times. So
it was nice though to see the fight in him. That was definitely a one step forward for Nix. But yeah, like you say, if you look at the final score, they stalled out and they needed they did what they needed to do to win that game, but
almost everything.
But that's just one game too,
Yeah.
If he does that against them and the Ravens, and then he does it against the Bills,
the Chargers game,
then you're like, oh, okay.
Thursday night Chargers game. That's a big one for me to see where Bo Nix is. Chargers are playing consistent, excellent defensive football. And that's what we got to see. And Ralph, them scoring twice only on 2 drives. I'm not talking about the end of the game drive here where they were moving the ball quite well until they decided to run out the clock. They still only scored on 2 drives throughout the whole game. That is on Nix. Not only on him, to be clear, but it is. It was still a really good game from him. Could have been better. I have this game against the Chargers circled. Hopefully we can see what we saw from him to close out the last Chargers game consistently in this one. I don't think the Chargers will be as beat up, obviously I can't predict this, but part of what helped lead to that resurgence from this Broncos offense was Christian Fulton leaving the field and getting hurt. So we'll see. This is a big game that I have circled. He's playing really well. He's showing answers in a lot of areas that he needed to. I didn't expect him to be a bad athlete, but he is far exceeding what I expected him to be athletically. If he can, and the thing is, here's another thing. If he can figure out the timing with those deep shots,
yes,
then this is a whole other element added to this offense that just takes it to another level and takes his game to another level. Colorado coming in. I got to scroll up here real quick to do it. We won't have all the answers for any rookie quarterback in 11 games. It's fine if we don't know what he fully is. I don't think we'll have all the answers about Bo Nix this season. He's playing well enough. He should easily get next season. And here's the thing that I keep talking to people about. I am really excited to see, and Todd, you can take this. I'm saying I'm excited to watch Bo Nix next season, especially if the Broncos add more talent at tight end, running back, and wide receiver.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's I understand why people think he's gonna be the next franchise. I actually kind of wrote some stuff about that. Wrote an article about that, about how How he's picking up stuff so fast, how he has a strong defense behind him, how he has a trusted receiver in Cortland Sutton, even though he's been inconsistent, he's money in the red zone if he can just get in the red zone. But I don't think it's like pessimistic. Ralph was talking about how I was being pessimistic, but he's just joking around with you, giving you a hard time. As time has gone on through the season, he has improved tremendously.
He has.
To where the preseason, I was like, this kid's awesome. His accuracy is money. They're short passes, but they're chain movers. Yeah. And then the regular season starts, and you're like, what the hell happened to that dude? And then you're like, oh, maybe it's just the defenses are different. And then you go from thinking he's going to win 10 games to 2 games. And then now you're like, oh, my God, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, if they win 9 games, you're going to be – or 10 games, you're going to be pissed.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have them winning many more games than where they're at now. I think I had them at like 8 or 9 wins. 10 or 11 wins is entirely plausible. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. And then Ralph come in and talk to Nick about sample size. I talked to Nick daily. Nick has sent me a picture of his butt. I talk to him daily. We've talked about sample size. We've talked about Bo Nix. What I'm saying to you guys is something that he and I have talked about. And orange colored glasses coming in and saying, I have always said it takes 50 starts to really know the quarterback. NFL coaches will disagree with that. I disagree with that, but that's neither here nor there. 50 starts is far more than you need to actually know a quarterback. You can generally 13 games is when you get a good idea of where a quarterback's at, and about 20 games is when you should know that they're going to be good or great or not good. That so 20 starts is about the max that you're looking at.
Season and a half is good, but you can find out in like 6 or 7 games a lot of times too, if they're special. Also, they can be a lot of fool's gold. Like I remember it was like in the early 90s, they had this guy, Rick Meyer, came out of Notre Dame, went and played Seattle, rookie of the year the first year, and then he just disappeared. RG3 is a little different because that's more of an injury situation. But it was so it is nice to temper your expectations. And I totally understand because I was high on him, then I was low on him, then I'm high on him again. He just seems like, to me, I hate to compare him to Tim Tebow, but he has a mentality, the positive mentality of like, putting that work in. Let's go win. Easy to follow because he just inspires people. And even if he's not going to throw like 4 touchdowns in the last game, he's laying everything out there on the field. And you can respect that. And that's what defenses that like hate guys that don't pull their weight. If they see that they're putting in their all and they are producing when they can, they're willing to like let that slide and back those guys up to the end.
Yeah, and of course, there's always exceptions to the rule about the, what I was saying about 20 starts and everything like that, 13 starts. There's always exceptions to the rule. Always. But when you look at it, at the massive amount of quarterbacks that have come into the NFL, that's a general idea there. Bo has a lot of what it takes. We've seen some hiccups. I mean, I said this before draft, and I still stand by it. I don't think that he and Sean Payton are a perfect marriage between scheme and quarterback, and we're seeing some issues pop up between that. But they are doing a good job of taking what doesn't work out and sticking with stuff that is working and what does work with Bo Nix, which is great to see from Sean Payton because he can be a little bit stubborn with what he's doing with his play calls and everything. And I think that part of what's different here is how much he has taken to Bo Nix. So there's a lot that for Bo Nix believe that he is going to be a franchise quarterback for the Broncos and that they will be competitive for the next 10, 15 years because of him. I just think it's a bit early to fully crown him as such. And will I eat my hat? Or there was another one too that was Danger Witches or something like that. Is that is Danger Witches? Is that the Subway?
Oh yeah, the commercial
Subway thing.
I love the one with where they make it with him and Justin Fields, and he's like, "Have you ever done anything dangerous?" And he's like, "Oh, that's dangerous. Woo, that's scary." Have you said? I don't know. I have to post it on there. It's ridiculous and so funny.
No, I won't eat my hat. I won't eat 2 danger widges. Still dieting, still being very successful in my diet and losing weight. Um, under 280 pounds.
Nice, dude.
It's been almost
Yeah,
10
man.
years since I've been under 280 pounds.
Can you feel
So
the
yeah,
difference? I'm just like moving around and like taking stairs and all that stuff.
man, I live on the 3rd floor of an apartment building, and walking up and down those stairs, I am not in pain. I was getting out of breath walking up 3 flights of stairs, not anymore. My joints, especially my knees and my ankles, I've had a lot of issues with my knees and ankles. A lot of sprains. And they were constantly in pain, not so
Mhm.
much anymore. Um, and then today, I'm actually wearing the shirt I wore to the meet and greet for the
Okay.
dinner that we had beforehand, and I took a picture of it. And I have a picture of myself in from the meet and greet wearing this, and from like July or August wearing it. And I sent them to some people, and I even was able to notice a difference. There's a big one in my
Yeah.
face. My face is not as fat as it was. I don't have a such an obvious double chin down here anymore. Um, so
Well,
yeah, I mean, I'm really starting to feel it. I'm really starting to see it, and it's nice.
that's really cool, especially since it's not an easy thing to do.
It's not.
100%. There's so many times I've quit working out. Um,
I
just
mean, it's
because it gets
been.
hard, whatever, and it's just like, and it's not just about working out. It's diet. It's all there. It's everything.
I've
It's your
tried.
entire lifestyle.
I've tried like 20 plus times in the last 10 years to lose weight, and I
Mhm.
start off really good, and then I would just fall off, and I gained that weight that I lost back, and then 10 plus pounds because I'd be have on such a restrictive diet, and now I've just been calorie counting.
Mhm.
I'm staying under the calories. I'm eating what I want. Obviously I have changed some things. I eat a lot more chicken instead of beef.
Yeah.
Um, things like that. I don't eat
Yeah.
as much candy or as much sweets as I did. I changed from whole milk to 0% lactose free milk, which has been massive for me because I would drink a gallon of whole milk a night. Like
Yeah. Oh, mess with
I'm a huge milk drinker. Um, so yeah, it's a lot of that. And
milk. Well, you know who's not a massive milk drinker? Or maybe they are. They should be because they're kind of small guys. But these guys are quick guys. Do you think I have a question for you? Two guys that they did really well in the last game, or they scored touchdowns. Mims and Franklin. Um, do you see them being more implemented? I see them trying to implement those guys more. And if you do see them more implemented, do you see them actually making a difference with their speed and their explosiveness? Because they're just, I don't know. I don't care about like getting the deep ball. I just want these guys in space.
yeah, I mean, we're seeing them really try to figure out how to use Mims. I like that the role that they're having him, the touchdown that he had, or the big play that he had. I can't remember if it was a touchdown where he was running that wheel route from the running from being in the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
Great play, great way to use him, great way to utilize him, his momentum entering space, which you can't really do with bubble screens. Like they don't
Yeah.
have momentum, they're going from a stop. Well, here you're working him on a wheel route and he's getting up speed and you're able to lay it in. I really like how they're using Mims. It's nice to see it. They need to use him that way because man, he's not getting it as a receiver. We know that that's done and over with. He wasn't able to get it, but this mixed role of running back receiver that he's doing, it's a more limited route tree, which is fine because it works. And then Franklin, there's still stuff that he needs to go with his route running. I hope that it doesn't end up becoming a similar issue as Mims, where it's just
Yeah.
not clicking for him. And there are positive signs that it's not going to be with the routes that he's running. We are seeing some progress. So yeah, it's I like what they're doing with them. I like how they're bringing them along. Um, and I like again, I really love how they're using Mims because lacking a passing threat out of the backfield was such an issue earlier this season. Well, now they have it. If you're going to be asking running backs to catch who can't catch, throw a wide receiver back there.
Yeah, it's really cool to see that we have our two big receivers in Bailey and Sutton, and now we have two kind of little not trick gadget play guys, whatever, but like two guys that can change the speed on you, and if you get them in open space, they can really make you pay. Bailey still, That guy's good. I'm pretty excited about his
The old man's
years.
yeah. I'm really pleased by the old man's play.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't. I
Was
can't.
he like 27 or something?
He's like 27, 28 years old, but yeah, I mean, he's been really impressive. Overall, and I will take my mistakes, my misses with this draft class and use it going forward, and it'll lead to some reevaluation. But when you scout, I scout 500 players every single year. I'm going to have misses. I'll own it. I'll use what I missed on and go forward. Missed on Vele, though I didn't watch a whole lot of him because of his age was an eliminating factor for me. Franklin, I watched a lot of Franklin. As long as they can keep the talent was there on tape. I think there were some issues with the route running and stuff. The issues were always attitude and off-field stuff. And then Bo Nix, I mean, quarterbacks are difficult in the first place.
Yeah.
And man, he looks like a almost completely different quarterback than he did during his time at Oregon.
Well, yeah, speaking of the Bo Nix thing, you say Todd was talking about Todd besides Bo Nix, who has been the biggest surprise for the team for how much success that they've had this year. Well, for the Bo Nix one, yeah, I wasn't sure just because he didn't have like blazing speed. So I don't know if that was going to translate to the NFL. It seems like he has just enough speed to where they're kind of pulling at his hairs as he's running, like, but he's getting away. But besides him, it was nice to see Audric Estime kind of start to play really decent, whatever, after being in the doghouse. Unfortunately, he didn't do too much in this last game. Same with Franklin. It was nice to see him both those guys in the doghouse, and now they're on the team and they're parts of the team. Cody Barton is a big one. I didn't have any hopes for Cody Barton, and he's had some pretty big plays this year.
He's been solid. I think the big plays make him seem greater than he's been. But without those, his plays just been meh. But I mean, hey, it's working. And part of the reason why it's working is because my biggest surprise outside of Bo Nix is Justin Strnad. No one, if anybody said that comes in and says that they expected this from Justin Strnad, they're lying.
I expected this in 2020 or 21.
I expected something like this a couple of years ago or something close to this, but man, he is been balling this season.
I think he has 3 sacks.
Best linebacker for the Broncos this season.
Yeah, he's been playing really well this season. It's really nice to see because I remember I did an article on him a while back, and I was looking at a lot of his college play, and he was chasing down Lamar Jackson. I think he played did he play at Vanderbilt, Wake Forest? One of the black and gold
I can't
teams.
remember.
But
one of the many black and gold teams, yeah.
Yeah, and then Louisville was Lamar, but yeah, he was chasing him down and ripping him down to the ground. It was like pretty exciting, impressive to see. And yeah, it just didn't pan out. And it looks like he learned from whatever was holding him back before. Maybe he got humbled. Maybe some veteran pulled him aside and noticed what he had in him, but he just wasn't going about it the right way. But it's nice to see him playing really well. It was so many times he was almost off his team.
But we're running out of time here. Before I do the outro here, I just want to address Todd here. I know I like you. If I didn't, I wouldn't give you a hard time from time to time. Not personal, just because I've never taken it personal, man. Tone doesn't always translate through, but I know you're joking with me, and I'm just pushing back in a joking manner as well. And as for why not salmon, salmon's expensive. And with the little one and a wife who works full time, I'm not able to go out fishing. I don't even own a fishing pole. I've only done dip netting and going out with somebody else to catch some halibut. So I don't get salmon a whole lot, but I love it. I love salmon. So when we do get it, it is there. Chicken's just cheap up here, which is why it's such a large part of our diet. But that's going to end up having to do it for us tonight. I want to thank every single one of you guys for tuning in and watching it.
There, buddy. We forgot to do our predictions.
Oh, we did. Yeah. So, what was yours? Well, I pull up mine real quick.
Don't you hate when that happens? So I'm pulling it up right now. I had a pretty solid win. Let me see. We got here. No, it's Thomas's. Well, this looks bad for me. It's always on the bottom whenever I'm looking for it on here. I got yours.
Yeah, because he does it by
Wow.
record. So being on the bottom means we're
Oh, so I'm on the bottom. This is embarrassing. All right.
don't worry, I think
So
I'm right
I
above
did
you.
have 31. Yeah. I had 31-10 Broncos. I think they're just going to build off an exciting their big game last game. They're going to look to like really assert their dominance. They're here. They're a real playoff team. It's not game by game. This is who they are all season. So I have them 31-10.
I picked the Broncos or the Raiders to win 45-13. Not really. I mean,
What was
I've
you
referred to the
said
Raiders.
Lance
I've
was
referred
high,
to the
wasn't
Raiders.
it?
The Raiders have been our bad team. Broncos, I have them blowing them out 45-13. And Lance's, man, when I saw it today, it was jaw dropping. He has the Broncos winning 59-13.
Gee.
59-13.
I think those are
I hope
fights.
Lance is right, because that would just be great to see. Just, take the joy from them for the day or whatever.
All right. Sorry. Yeah, I'll let you do your
outro. Thank you guys all for tuning in for tonight. Before we get out of here, obviously we have our closing matters here, but before we even get to that, I won't be here for the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be taking next week off because Black Friday, I'm one of those people that does Black Friday. So I'm going to be getting up early for that, and then when I get home, we do Thanksgiving at our house. So when I get home, it's going to be a lot of cleaning. I'm going to be exhausted. I just won't be able to make it in the energy level that I'll likely have at the time. And then the week after that, we have some personal stuff going on, some family stuff. So I won't be here for that. And then it's way down the road, but I also won't be here the Friday after Christmas. Hopefully after that, I'll be here every single week from then on. Not sure who's filling in for me on 2 of those days, but Dylan Von Arx will be joining in 2 weeks, I believe is what it is. But before we get out of here, of course, as always, you guys can subscribe, like, and share on YouTube, on Facebook. It helps us out so much with the algorithms, helps get us to more eyes. It's such an easy and quick thing to do, and it's free. All it costs is just a little bit of your time, just a matter of seconds to just click like, subscribe, share, all of that. Again, just a matter of seconds. You can go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and leave a 5-star review for a chance to win some merchandise like cool hats, cool mugs, cool shirts every single month. You can follow us on Instagram at @MileHighHuddle with the underscore between mile and high and huddle, where you can get access to all sorts of content from there as well. You can go to mhhmerch.com to, again, get your gear, buy gear for loved ones who happen to be fans of the Broncos or of Mile High Huddle. We have all sorts of cool things, including bumper stickers that you can see right here, and hats, all sorts of stuff. I think we have baby clothes, we have scarves, we have baklavas, hats, shirts, all kinds of stuff. And of course, if you're one of those watching on Facebook, you're probably watching through facebook.com/MileHighHuddlePod or facebook.com/MileHighHuddle. You can go like on both of those pages to just add another viewer and help us with the algorithm there. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can go to @MileHighHuddle. I believe we also have one on Blue Sky as well. And I think we're on a few other places as well. Or at the MHH Pod. If you want to follow Dove Valley Deep Divers Twitter account, you can follow that at DVDD_pod as well. This is one of the many Mile High Huddle podcasts. We come to you every single night and multiple mornings to just talk about the latest Broncos news, the latest Broncos going on, give our general thoughts, general opinions, and depending on who's on, hot takes. Leading up to the NFL draft, there was a bunch of fools on these podcasts saying that Bo Nix wasn't going to be a good quarterback. So you can always tune in and give them crap. Nick Kendall is one of them. Make sure you give him plenty of crap. Specifically Nick, because he deserves it. No, and always you guys can follow us on I gotta get this out of here. You can follow us specifically on Twitter as well at Kenneth_MHH. for my co-host here. And then
Right.
you can follow me at Erick Trickel. I'm also on Blue Sky, and you can follow me there as well. We want to thank you all for watching. And Paul Chatter coming in. What a bunch of clowns. Yeah, I know. How ridiculous. How could anybody think that? And thank you, David Youngkin, for the $4.99 donation for that. We appreciate that so much, especially this time of year. Without your guys' support, both through donations, through liking, subscribing, all of that, through even clicking on our articles and giving those a read, it enables me to do this full time, keep the lights on, and do this week in, week out, and jumping on here and talking about it. So I appreciate you guys so much, especially as the holidays come around. So thank you guys for coming in. And the Raiders are clowns. The Raiders are. They're just a clown show. One of the biggest clown shows in the NFL this season. But anyways, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. But before we get out here, Kenneth, any last words?
No, just have a good Thanksgiving, everybody. If you don't know how you're gonna cook your turkey, try smoking it. I know it takes forever, but it's delicious. Watch the Broncos, watch CU. Hopefully they beat Kansas. And everybody, thanks for showing up tonight. It seems like there's a lot of people in here, 135, it looks like. Thank you. I had a great time with everybody. Welcome back again, Michael. I hadn't seen you for a couple shows, and everybody who I hadn't met before. It was a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for coming here. And I just had a great time. It was a great show. Eric hasn't complained about it being cold once.
Heated blanket.
Okay.
But definitely. I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving. If you're spending it with your family, I hope you have a wonderful time. Not to go deep down into it, but politics can be a dangerous topic during Thanksgiving, during family gatherings. So just try and enjoy the day, and avoid those topics that may not go over well with some of your company. And just again, enjoy the day, be a family, be thankful for it.
I have something for that though. Talk politics on Thanksgiving so you don't have to buy Christmas presents.
That's smart. It doesn't work for me since all my Christmas shopping's already done, but I'm one of those guys. I get Christmas shopping done early, so then I don't have to deal with all the mass panic at the stores. Anyways, guys, we got to get out of here. I'm getting yelled at to get off of here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a wonderful night. Stay safe. Don't drink and drive. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and don't drink and drive on Thanksgiving either. Kenneth will be here next week. We'll not sure who's filling in. I will be back in 3 weeks. I hope you guys have a wonderful time, and I hope we're talking about all the wins between now and then. I don't want to calculate how many games are between now and then. But have a wonderful weekend. Again, stay safe, stay drive. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.